I think I said at the time this scandal was all happening that this would make a great biopic, and I think there's still plenty of sort of scandal following films to come from this. Welcome to another movie review. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel every week, and then movie reviews and book to movie content just like this one here at the weekend. All of my movie reviews are spoiler free, and I will leave a playlist of my recent reviews linked up above for you. Yes, I went to see She Said in the cinemas, which very confusingly had Carey Mulligan and Samantha Morton in, and those two people I get mixed up and I get confused for one another. And so I was like, must concentrate on who is who. But this basically covers two female journalists at the New York Times breaking the story of Harvey Weinstein and the scandals at Miramax. It includes Ashley Judd as herself, and her kind of agreeing to go on the record and helping these other women. And obviously these people made the Time magazine Person of the Year cover for doing this. Some of the people did play themselves as well, so that was what was really intriguing about it. I mean, I say that it's going to be a spoiler-free review, but when it's a biopic, you kind of know what's going to happen and you know how things are going to pan out. So it's really interesting, and I like the fact that they chose to focus on these two female journalists. We open with Megan Twohey, who's played by Carey Mulligan, and we sort of know her name. Well, I knew her name from being involved in some of the Trump stuff when he was exposed and he was about to be elected, and it opens with her writing this story and exposing some of the things that he did, and it has him calling her and sort of telling her that, you know, she's awful for what she's doing and blah blah blah, and sort of saying that he's not gonna condone it because it's just a bunch of lies. And that's how the film kind of opens, so that's brilliant. And interestingly, they do have the guy who currently is playing Donald Trump on SNL do the voice of Donald Trump in this film, so it sounded really familiar as Donald Trump, because my current experience of Donald Trump is basically just seeing him on SNL. And so that was really interesting. I like that as an opening. And then we see her, you know, go off and have a baby and sort of change her perspective on things a little bit, and then get together with this other female journalist to break this massive Harvey Weinstein story. It was amazing, the kind of tension and pressure that you feel watching this film. I mean, it was really well written and edited and directed, because as an audience I felt so much pressure and so much tension, and what's going to happen next, and are we going to be able to get to this witness, and are we going to get this person to go on record, are we going to be able to find this other person that this one person mentioned. And it was really interesting the amount of times that they obviously got in touch with Miramax people and Harvey Weinstein's people to ask them for information, to ask them for comment, and to ask them to kind of give their side of the story, and just how much information they got from his people and how much just kind of shut down they got from him and his closest circle. So that was really interesting. I think I didn't know about that side of it, and I mean, why would I know about that side of it? But it was, yeah, interesting seeing just how tough it was to get to the facts that they got to, and to get any of the women that they spoke to go on record. Now, it's a 2.5 hour film. It's a film that's definitely on the longer side. As I say, it's very well written and edited and directed to make you feel the pressure that these journalists must have been feeling, trying to get this information and trying to get this story together, and you know, the pressure that they must have had from the people above them at the New York Times as well. And so it sounds like it would be an unpleasant experience, and something that would feel kind of harrowing, and oh my god, 2.5 hours of my life I'll never get back. But it really wasn't. I didn't, you know, get up and use the bathroom. I didn't check my watch. And that to me is always a sign of a film that has fully got my attention. If I'm not thinking about the fact that, you know, I've just had a glass of wine with dinner and I might need to need to pee, then you really have got my attention. And so despite the fact that it is a long film, and despite the fact that this film deals with a difficult matter, it felt pacey, it felt well done, and it just kept my attention the entire way through. And I think that that just is the sign for me of a good picture. Does this film need to be one that you see in cinemas? Does it need to be seen on the big screen? It's not something that, you know, has special effects in it, has an amazing soundtrack that you need to hear in Dolby surround sound. It's not something where you have to see the visually stunning backdrop of the New York Times. However, I do feel like it's definitely going to be an Oscar contender, and so I do like to see the Oscar contenders in the cinema if I can, so I see them how they were supposed to be seen, and how the people who inevitably will end up nominated for awards were supposed to have you see their performance, whether that's in directing or editing or cinematography or the acting performances. And so I think it's worth paying your cinema going money to see for that reason, that it made, you know, we did it as a date night, and it was really good because it gave us something to talk about, and over that glass of wine over dinner as well. And so whilst you don't have to see it in the cinema for the production value, I think it's worth spending the time to go and see this film in the cinema. And the film, again, it's not like a spoiler thing, but the film sort of ends when they click publish on the article for it to go onto the print format as well as the online format. And so I feel like there's a lot more to be said about this scandal, this, you know, horrible thing that happened because of one person. And I think there's a lot more to be said about sort of his side of things and the victims and the survivors. And so I think it's good that the film stopped when it did, because I feel like there are more films from other points of view and more films that will carry on, because there's still trials that are not yet finished for Harvey Weinstein. And so I think that the length was just perfect and the end point was just perfect, and I really, really enjoyed it. I would watch it again. I would go to the cinema to watch it again because it was just really entertaining, and I'm sure I would get some more information from it because of it being based on a true story, and because of it being not a biopic of Harvey Weinstein, but basically a biopic of these two journalists. I think that I would learn more things because there was so much information to take in the first time. So there you have it. Definitely a positive review from me. Definitely some trigger warnings in there, so make sure that if you are thinking about going to see it, you look up for care warnings beforehand if you think there might be anything that you might find triggering. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and I really do recommend it, and I would be surprised if it didn't get Oscar nominations, because we're getting into that time again now. So yeah. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. If there is a particular movie you want to hear my thoughts on, do let me know in comments. However, I am going away next week, and so it may be that you have to wait until after Christmas for me to review those movies. I do have one request pending, and I don't know that it's going to happen this week because it's the last week of term and I have to just use all my energy just to get me to school to teach the tiny humans and then come home again. And so it might not happen this week. However, always happy to try and watch films over Christmas for you here and get a nice backlog of movie reviews going for the new year. Please do make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on my bookish content in the week, my Vlogmas videos and my movie content next weekend. And with that being said, thank you for watching, and I will see you with my next video.